Our mission for week 4, MMIL 632, the focus on the New Testament, John's writings. Our mission for week 4 focuses our attention on John 10 through 13. We must listen with intent to Jesus share the parable of the Good Shepherd. We will examine the death and resurrection of Lazarus from front row seats. We watch with expectant eyes on the anointing of Jesus and his washing of the disciples' feet. Our mission video will focus on the events leading to Lazarus' resurrection. John 11:1 thrusts the sick man into our vision, Lazarus of Bethany of Judea. His sisters are Mary and Martha. Their brother Lazarus dies. Our mission seeks to help us understand Jesus' next I am saying. Since it is sometime after the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah, we know it is winter. Perhaps it's January or February. Lazarus has been sick, and I read somewhere that the shortest month of the year has the most deaths. The death dates in older cemeteries record more deaths happening in February than other months. Some surmise it's because of pneumonia complications from December and January. The Feast of Dedication is also the feast where the nation almost died. You go back and study the history of Israel behind this feast. It is also the feast where the temple was rededicated and restored to use. So God's grace brought the nation back to life. Remember this as we study this I am. Jesus goes to Bethany beyond the Jordan Perea after the Feast of Dedication. The area of Perea is frontier area, is pagan, Gentile area, ruled and controlled by Herod Antipas, who also controls the Galilee region. Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus that Lazarus was sick unto death. They wanted Jesus to return immediately and heal him, but Jesus tarries and arrives late. Now you can travel from Bethany on the backside of the Mount of Olives to across Jericho and up to Bethany of the Jordan in only one day. Day 1, Lazarus dies and they send word to him. Day 2 and 3, Jesus tarries where he is. Day 4, Jesus returns to Bethany of Judea. Now, wouldn't the human inclination be to rush to his friend's side and heal him? Why stay 2 extra days? Jesus wanted God the Father to be glorified. Perhaps he's praying for Mary and Martha. Perhaps it was known that sometimes persons fall into a coma with a weak pulse and has been buried only to come out of the coma later. Judaism felt that it took 4 days for the person to be dead without any issues. You may not be aware, but as you walk from Jericho to Bethany on the backside of the Mount of Olives, one reaches a well called the Spring of the Sun. You continue climbing on the backside of the Mount of Olives, you reach Bethpage, and then you can go on over into Jerusalem. Or you can turn to the south and reach the village of Bethany, where Mary and Martha lived with Lazarus. This is a turn off just beyond the Spring of the Sun. As we read our story again, notice where Martha goes. She goes out to the road to wait for Jesus. Anyone coming from Jericho has to pass this intersection. Martha's probably waiting at the spring, which one would drink before continuing up the mountain. Here she meets Jesus. Jesus says to Martha, "Go to the village and get Mary. I will wait here at the Spring of the Sun." Mary follows Martha to the spring. The city people feel they're going to the cemetery. Archaeology has located a cemetery between the village and the road. You look at John 11:21 and 22. What does Martha say to Jesus? Notice her faith. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha says, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day." So notice Jesus' I am here. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies. Jesus standing on the road when he makes this great pronouncement. My question for you today, and your mission, is to read Zechariah 14:4. What are we told here about the Messiah? Do you know the Franciscan monks have excavated the Mount of Olives under the Dominus Flavius Church? People always want to be buried at the Mount of Olives because of Zechariah 14:4. There is a Middle Age cemetery. Under that's a Byzantine period cemetery. Under that's a Herodian period Jewish cemetery. Further on down is an Old Testament cemetery. Been said, in most countries you die and decompose, but in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives you die and mingle. Where? On the Mount of Olives or on the Mount of the Resurrection. I pray the meaning of I am the resurrection means more to you today than it did yesterday. If you found this helpful, let me know, and I'll seek to offer more insights like this as we continue our studies. Grace and peace, Dr. Lucas.